Ulpius der Dieb hat mein Geldbeutel schon und ich, wer auch immer es geschrieben hat, ist nicht fertig geworden. Mhm. Mühle. Eine Steinmühle. Offenbar werden von oben Mehl und Getreide hineingeführt und dann zwischen den Steinen gemahlen, wenn die Griffe gedreht werden. Ein römisches Rezept für Brot. Na gut, ja, das würde ich jetzt so nicht vorlesen wollen. Leibbrot. Oh, sieht das lecker aus. Ein runder Brotleib, der in einzelne Stücke geteilt werden kann. Er steht offenbar jedenfalls zur Verfügung, der möchte. Das habe ich voll Bock auf Brot. Die Äpfel. Ob es hier auch mal regnet? Und vielleicht mit Silphium-Harz, einem ausgesprochenen Wert von antiken römischen Heilmitteln, mit dem diverse Leiden behandelt werden können. Okay.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land. Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know, from which exotic part of the world do you hail?
Ihr würdet mir nicht glauben, wenn ich es euch sagen würde.
And now you have me more intrigued than before. But since it appears you do not wish to share, I will wait until we are better friends. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps?
Was ist eure Geschichte?
My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum.
Warum hier eine Schneiderei eröffnen?
You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule and so few customers, why bother setting shop at all?
Ja, mehr oder weniger.
I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, the more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree?
Ich nehme an, ja.
Oh, and there is another reason too. If we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at, I don't know about you, but I would like to look my best.
Wie seid ihr hier gelandet?
A good question. A very good question indeed. And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself.
Warum erzählt ihr mir nicht, an was ihr euch erinnert?
I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares, and drowning in coin, I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of
Musst du
that
aufpassen, keinen Sonnenbrand da unten
This
bekommst.
time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa.
Ihr seid also den Tiber heruntergeschwommen?
Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am.
Genau, der Fluss. Lasst uns über etwas anderes reden.
Anything you like.
Wisst ihr, wie man hier rauskommt?
Not so loud. What are you playing at?
Nothing. Entschuldigung, habe ich etwas Falsches gesagt?
Have you not been told about the last attempt?
Der letzte Versuch?
Oh, then I suppose this duty falls to me. It is a long story.
Warum erzählt ihr sie mir nicht?
Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first arrive is, how do I escape? It is only natural after all. and scaling the chasm wall is out of the question, for it is simply too steep and too far. But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in, through the shaft above the bathhouse. See, the shaft is quite high, but if one gathered up enough wood, one could make a series of ladders and climb one's way out.
Das lässt sich einrichten. Warum hat es noch nie jemand gemacht?
I am getting to that. There was an attempt made by resourceful fellows who lived here some years ago. They even decided to keep records of their escape attempt for posterity. Unfortunately, as soon as they began to carry the first ladder down the hallway, they heard a godlike voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically, is where their tale ends. So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place, and so I say it is best to not even discuss it aloud.
Verstanden, vielen Dank. Was seid ihr von der goldenen Regel?
Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. As a Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate.
Warum sagt ihr das?
Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty one. Instead, she changed the climate of Earth so that it became hot and dry. Nothing grew. The grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act, lest they have no worshippers left.
Okay.
So yes, we know this rule. This has
Wie
always been the
gemein.
case.
Da werden die
The
Menschen
golden rule has
bestraft.
merely brought it into focus.
Was können wir dagegen tun?
If we are to survive, I say we must each keep the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing."
Das klingt recht einfach.
It does, doesn't it? But it is not enough for us to do this alone. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act.
Ich weiß, ich habe gesehen, wie es passiert.
Ah, the voice of experience. I am sorry for your loss, my friend. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the golden rule. For all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing, do they not?
Musik? Wem werdet ihr eure Stimme geben?
That, my friend, is quite the dilemma. But after some reflection, I'm leaning toward voting for Malleolus.
Warum alle
I
für
do not
ihn?
enjoy the thought of another visit from Domitius if I voted the wrong way.
Kann ich euch irgendwie umstimmen?
Nothing comes to my mind, my friend.
Ich werde jetzt gehen.
I hope that our paths cross
Ich
again
muss dann mal die
soon.
ganzen Aufgaben hier anschauen, ne? Ich denke, wir müssen wahrscheinlich auch irgendwas stehlen. DNA. Färbe mit diesem Färben von Kleidung, sie wurde offenbar aus Pflanzen und Insekten gewonnen.
Sometimes I stare at the great temple on the bluff, and I think, whatever is in there, it has to be important. Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to a little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so you can just call me Virgil.
Virgil.
You arrived on a sad day, friend. What with Julia's death? I wish we could have
Aber wie
met
ist sie denn
under better
gestorben?
circumstances.
Was ist eure Geschichte?
Well, I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people. That kind of thing. But you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious
Ja.
architecture or mysterious history of this place.
Ist das ein Franzose? Nee, der ist auch. Hey, warum hatten er denn so einen Akzent? Erzähl mir etwas über die Geschichte der
Oh,
Stadt.
I'm glad you asked. Some of these shrines were constructed hundreds of years ago. which means Romans have been arriving here for at least that long. But there's one thing that puzzles me. The oldest shrine in this avenue isn't Roman at all. It's Greek.
Okay. Was bedeutet das? Also ist es nicht üblich, dass die Römer griechische Kunst und Architektur nachbilden?
Well, yes, that could be the reason. Or it could mean that there were Greeks living and worshipping here before the Romans arrived. Which begs the interesting question, who really built this place? And could it be far older than any of us imagine? If only there was a way we could talk to the people who came here before us. The stories they could tell.
Erzählt mir etwas über die Architektur der Stadt.
Gladly. Personally, my favorite thing about this place is the aqueducts. Those series of adjoining arches. They're an ingenious feat of Roman engineering with a very practical purpose. They take fresh water coming from outside the city and distribute it all across the chasm. It's funneled below the palace and into a cistern beneath the great temple. Some of it flows down into another cistern beneath the villas, and the rest is funneled to the shrine of Proserpina, where it fills the lake, and allows us to fish and farm.
Wenn sie Wasser in die Stadt bringen, können wir sie zur Flucht nutzen?
Hey, not so loud. Just talking about that could anger the gods for all we know. I'm not saying it's impossible. But you'd have to find a way inside somehow. Just, please, try to be a bit more discreet about it.
Erzähl mir vom Tempel auf der
You
Klippe.
mean the Great Temple?
Yes, the Great
This
Temple.
one's a bit of a mystery. Given the way it's positioned so prominently, looking down on us, it's clear that whoever built it felt it was the most important temple in the city. Unfortunately, someone else went out of their way to keep its purpose a mystery. You see, usually a temple is dedicated to a particular god, like Proserpina or Diana or Apollo. Usually, that god is obvious. But in this case, it's unknown. There's an obelisk out the front, which probably used to bear the name of this unknown god. But it appears some barbarian defaced it.
Das ist
And
super.
of course we can't get inside because it's locked up tighter than the Temple of Saturn in Rome.
Krass.
And that contains the treasury. So we're all left wondering, which god is that temple dedicated to?
Boah, da bin ich mir so gespannt.
Could it be the one responsible for the golden rule? Unless
Sicherheit.
somebody figures out a way inside, I suppose we'll never know.
Lasst uns über etwas
Of
anderes
course.
reden. Wisst ihr, wie man hier
You
rauskommt?
wouldn't believe how often the new ones ask that question. But I'd tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. There are much worse places to live out your days. You might have a few sleepless nights thinking about the golden rule, but once you get used to the fear, knowing that a single slip-up could cost you everything, it's not too bad. Nothing new to me, anyway.
Was meint ihr damit?
Oh, I just mean I grew up in the Batavi tribe, far to the north in Novio Magus,
Okay,
and learned to
Novio
expect
Magus.
a bit of hostility. They weren't nearly as tolerant as the Romans.
Ich habe keine Ahnung, woher der kommt. Was haltet ihr von der goldenen
Some
Regel?
people say it's divine, the work of a god, but I'm not so sure. It just seems so flawed to me. Like it's distinctly human. I mean, once you've been here long enough, you'll notice people doing things that just seem so wrong to you. But this so-called god doesn't seem to care, which means one of two things. Either you don't know the difference between right and wrong, or this unknown god doesn't. And I'm pretty sure I know the difference. Do you?
Ich glaube ja.
Good. Then I hope you'll agree that there are only two ways of dealing with unfair rulers. The first is to leave. The second is to remove the ruler from power. And it seems leaving may not be an option.
Das stimmt, ja. Wie stürzt man einen Gott?
Question. It's best if I say no more, but I hope you give it some thought.
Mir ist das Graffiti aufgefallen. Warum hätte man euch für einen Sünder?
Look, I haven't done anything wrong, if that's what you're thinking. Somebody just has a problem with my preference for male company.
Ihr mögt Männer?
Hey, nothing gets by you, huh? Sorry, that was mean. Yes, I like men. And when you grow up in the north, as I did, in the city of Noviomagus, you expect a bit of hostility. The Batavi are not known for their tolerance. I saw enough friends killed or driven away to know the cost of not keeping your personal affairs to yourself. So I hid who I was for, what was it, nearly 10 years? Watching what I said and where I looked. But that kind of fear eats away at you slowly, until living isn't any better than the thing you were afraid of. Needless to say, since I'm now living underground, halfway across the known world, with an assumed name, my openness didn't go down well among the enlightened folk of the Batavi.
Tut mir leid, das zu hören.
Nice of you to say, but not necessary. In any case, the Romans are far more accepting,
Das
and
stimmt.
among them, I get to be who I am. Or at least I thought that was the case. It seems I was wrong.
Wisst ihr, wer für das Graffiti verantwortlich ist?
It's not just graffiti. I have quite a collection of handwritten notes too. The strange thing is, I keep my personal affairs to myself. I've never really been interested in any of the men here. Not my type. So I'm not sure what I could have done to upset this person. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably one of those cultists.
Kultisten?
Strange bunch. They insist there's only one God, and that he considers my nature a sin. Can you believe that? If there are any of them here, they won't admit it. Not since they supposedly burnt down half of Rome last year and went into hiding. All I know is, if these threats keep escalating, eventually my secret admirer is going to cross a line and break the golden rule.
Ich werde der Sache nachgehen.
What? Really? I didn't expect that. But thanks. It's always a pleasure to meet someone so selfless. I'm glad you arrived when you did. I'd start by figuring out who the cultists are. Or maybe ask around among the merchants here. Someone who lives or works in the forum must have seen something. But if you find them, please don't hurt or humiliate them. I suspect they're just confused.
Ich werde mich umgehend darum kümmern,
Come
ja.
back and let me know what you find.
Haben wir sonst noch irgendwas? Und ich bin noch dabei zu prüfen. Wem werdet ihr eure Stimme geben?
Well, Malleolus is talking about loosening some of the restrictions in this place. And while it's all a bit vague, at least he has a vision.
Kann ich euch irgendwie umstimmen?
My vote isn't for sale, if that's what you're asking.
Ich werde jetzt gehen.
Nice to talk to you.
Anschuldige Nachricht. Virgil, wollt ihr wirklich die Sünde begehen, die uns alle vernichten wird? Amboss. Ein römischer Amboss ohne Horn sieht das seltsam aus, aber das muss eine moderne Innovation sein. Eine römische Feuerschaufel aus Bronze, sie riecht nach Asche. Aber krass, dass sie alles solch ein Handwerk verstehen. Virgil, sie sehen euch vielleicht noch nicht, aber ihr solltet eins wissen, ich sehe euch. Virgil, ich weiß, wer ihr seid und was ihr wollt. Kehrt von diesem Weg ab, bevor wir alle für eure Sünde leiden. Wir gehen mal nicht dorthin, weil ich habe halt die Hoffnung, dass wenn wir jetzt hier einen Bogen finden... Hallo. Ja, er sieht durch ihre Augen. Wahrscheinlich der Gott sieht durch die Augen der goldenen Statuen und das sind die ehemaligen Bewohner. Haben wir hier eine Karte? Nee, ne? Georgios, müssen wir noch mal kurz gucken. Oh, hallo. Lucretia. Ah, das war die, die geweint hat.
Give me a moment. Sorry I'm such a mess. I just lost a patient and a dear friend. Julia. She was a good woman.
Was ist passiert?
She was poisoned. She
Oh.
came in here frothing at the mouth. Normally I'd treat her with resin of silphium, a rare plant which is perfect for this sort of thing. And I knew Decius had some at his market stall, right around the corner. So I ran over there, but he just looks at me with this evil smile and says, "That'll be 1,000 denarii." There was no way I could afford that, and he knew it. Then that toad shrugs and says, "Supply and demand. I guess
So
you don't
ein
value
Arsch.
your friend's life that highly." Anywhere else, I'd just pay a thug to steal it from his stall, but there's no way I can do that down here with the golden rule. So all I could do is come back here and just watch her die. I kept on apologizing. And now I'll never know who poisoned her, or how they managed to do it without breaking the golden rule, or why she cursed that snake's cruel black eyes with her dying breath.
Kann ich irgendwie helfen?
Well, unless you have the power to bring someone back from the dead, there's really just one thing you can do. Get me that silphium resin. I'm going to have another patient in here soon. Could be in the next day or in the next hour. And I will not allow this to happen again. I don't care how you get it, but you have to make it happen. Because if I lose another patient this way, I swear to the gods below, not even the golden rule will stop me from marching up to that genetricum fututo and scratching his eyes out.
Okay. Das ist gefährliches Gerede. Ich werde sehen, was ich tun kann. Was ist eure Geschichte?
I'm Lucretia, and I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not a physician. This is Nevia's clinic. I've just been filling in ever since she disappeared.
Sie ist auch verschwunden.
I'm tired and out of my depth and miserable all the time. But I'd rather take this on myself than let one of you lot mess it up.
Wie seid ihr hier gelandet?
My husband and I moved to Rome from Caesarea. He embraced the Roman way more than I would have liked and turned into an awful philanderer. I would have divorced him and demanded the return of my dowry, but I knew he would sooner have me killed than give me my right. So I waited for the right time to take what was mine and disappear. And then the fires came. As he prepared to evacuate our villa, I gathered our most precious belongings, coins and gemstones, and the moment his back was turned, I ran. I could barely see for the smoke, and the streets were full of people trampling each other. I ran for the river, like everyone else, and leapt
Da müssen ja noch
The
mehr
next thing I
eigentlich
remember,
angespült worden
I
sein.
was waking up on a riverbank, not far from here.
Tut mir leid, das zu hören.
It's all right. Say what you will about this place. At least my fornicating husband will never find me. And while there's no shortage of snakes here, at least with the golden rule, they have to try to be discreet about it.
Warum arbeitet ihr in einem Schrein?
Oh, this shrine was in use as a clinic long before any of us arrived here. Kind of strange to set up a clinic in the temple of the god of disease. But the god who inflicts a curse is also the only god who can undo it. So I suppose praying to Apollo for healing kind of makes sense.
Erzählt mir über Nevia.
Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician. But she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good too. Until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. "This changes everything," she kept saying. But I had no idea what she was talking about.
War das
The
die
last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem, a real thorn in the paw situation. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed and he's in constant pain.
Wer?
I really shouldn't say. He wouldn't like it. And he's a little bit scary. He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off. And I worry he'll end up losing his temper and lashing out. And you know what that means. I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she's still alive. But nobody seems to know how to get into the palace.
Ich werde mich umgehend darum kümmern. Ich werde sehen, was ich tun kann.
Thanks, I suppose.
Wisst ihr, wie man hier rauskommt?
I wish. Some people here need proper medical care, not the half-baked, hanging by a thread excuse for treatment I'm giving them. Just don't get sick or injured here. I'll do my best to treat you, but I'm out of my depth and dangerously short on everything you can imagine.
Was ich noch sagen wollte, ich komme mit den Namen noch nicht ganz so klar, deswegen kann es auch sein, dass ich jetzt einige Sachen verhaue. Aber uns wurde doch von irgendjemandem erzählt, dass es ja auch eine Neuankömmling, also eine Frau gab, ne, in der ähnlichen Position wie wir. Und sie hat ja auch rumgefragt, ne, wie hier alle in die Stadt gekommen sind und hat sich verändert. War das die Priesterin, die uns mal mit Alve oder Ave begrüßt? Ich glaube, ja. War das die Nevia? Oder war das jemand anderes? Was haltet ihr von der Göttin Regel?
A city without sin might sound good on paper, but whoever dreamt it up didn't think it through. Maybe it was an attempt to create some kind of utopia. But snakes like Decius will always find loopholes to exploit.
Ja.
And what can we do about it?
Das ist eigentlich unterlassene Hilfeleistung.
Nothing. In some ways we are worse off because we can't take the law into our own hands.
Ich höre ständig die Statuen flüstern. Ist das normal?
Oh no. Sorry, I don't mean to worry you, but no, that is definitely not normal. There was one other person who claimed she could hear the statues talking to her. But that was Nevia, and she went a little mad.
Erzähl mir über Nevia.
Well, she used to run the clinic. She
So.
was a midwife until she suddenly, this changes everything.
So,
And
can we
then
try-
she's been, but one of
Hartford.
he's become so irritable that the smallest thing, I just,
Ja, ich weiß nicht, was man tun kann. Können wir über Julia sprechen?
sure. What do you want to know?
Glaubt ihr, sie wurde vergiftet oder war es jetzt verschuldet?
Do you really want to know? I mean, if somebody poisoned her, then surely they would have broken the golden rule. And so maybe it's best we don't discuss it.
Wisst ihr, was für ein Gift sie genommen hat?
Hemlock, I believe.
Gibt es einen Grund, warum sie vielleicht sterben wollte?
I haven't seen her in months. She's not allowed to leave Malleolas' villa. And they are quite secretive.
Lass uns über etwas anderes reden.
Gladly.
Ich werde jetzt gehen.
Well, come back if you get sick or injured. Day or night, I'll do what I can.
Aber sie musste auch mal schlafen. Oh. Oh. Oh, verdammt. Nein. Ich bin noch gar nicht fertig. Ich bin noch gar... Ich bin doch gar nicht... Ich wollte mich doch erst noch umgucken. Wo ist denn Baleos? Kennen wir den? Rufius, Domitius, achso, den können wir nicht. Virgil, haben wir da alle schon kennengelernt? Decius, Borgius, Horatius. Und da kommt er angelaufen.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Nicht so langsam für dieses Spiel.
Georgius,
Malleolus!
Dacius,
Malleolus.
Galerius,
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil,
Malleolus.
Rufius,
Malleolus.
and finally, Domitius.
Malleolus.
Tja.
Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail, Magistrate Malleolus.
Ja, war wahrscheinlich zu langsam, oder?
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
His sentence, to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius.
Bitte was? Was ist das denn für ein Arsch?
Entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is. A children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Oh Gott. Lauft. Sentius. Wo muss ich hin? Oh nein. Sind die alle tot? Sentius! Wo ist denn der? War ich so langsam? War ich zu langsam für dieses Spiel? Ah, aber ich brauche doch Zeit. Nein, ich... Was sagt mir nicht, was wir alles nur von vorne machen? Oh nein!
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
Ich bin Dietmar, wir hatten diese Unterhaltung bereits.
I don't think so. I've
Oh Gott.
never seen you before in my life.
Galerius und werden mir gleich anbieten, mich zu Sentius zu bringen, damit er mir über die goldene Regel erzählen kann.
Oh, I guess how much did I drink last night? Sorry to have bothered you.
Kein Problem, ich muss gehen.
Oh, and since you seem to be in a hurry, you should try out this device I made. Worked real hard on it.
Ein rudimentärer Seilrutschlenker aus Holz. Wozu brauche ich das denn?
Just attach the pulley to the rope over the lake and hang on to the handles. If it works, it'll be faster than walking. And if it doesn't work, worst thing that can happen is you'll take a swim in the lake. I haven't quite summoned the courage to test it myself. But don't worry, it's completely safe. Probably.
Danke, ich werde es gehen.
All right. See you around.
Okay, aber wir haben jetzt noch die ganzen Aufgaben, ne? Ja. Rote Faden, Luft aufgelöst, was mit den Zielen? Ah. Warte mal. Gut. Die Frage, wie viel Zeit werden wir haben? Was ist ein Seilrutscher? Kann ich das denn verwenden? Okay, ist aber gut. Den haben wir hier. Galeros als Magistrat kontert mit, ich würde lieber auch jedes Spezialgebräu trinken. Sieht aus, als hätte jemand hart an den Prototypen einer Seilrutsche gearbeitet. Mein Leben war kompliziert wie die 7 Arbeiten des Herkules. Ein Weißer besiegt und versklavt, aber ich würde alles gerne wieder erleiden. Denn jeder Verlust, jede Wunde und jede Tragödie brachte mich zu euch. Strahlen wie Roms heilige Flamme, nährt eure helle Wärme meine Seele. Ich weiß, ich kann euch niemals berühren, nur um Peters Flammen zu halten. Aber euch von weit zu beobachten und zu lieben, in euren Strahlen zu baden, ist mir genug. So, reden wir mit erstmal.
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come.
Was ist eure Geschichte?
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives.
Tut mir leid, ich habe keine Ahnung, was es bedeutet.
They never do.
Wisst ihr, wie man hier rauskommt?
There is only a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions.
Braucht ihr Hilfe?
Help me. You cannot help me. I have seen things. A pattern, a terrible pattern. It is better for you if you remain ignorant. Pandora's box must stay closed. I'll say no more.
Was haltet ihr von der goldenen Regel?
The bloodless shadows. This is their punishment.
In Ordnung. Könnt ihr mir etwas über die Musterzähne, die ihr gesehen habt?
You think you wish to know, but you do not. It is better for you if you remain ignorant. Pandora's box must stay.
Ich will jetzt
The
gehen.
newly arrived are ignorant of the road before them.
Ach Gott, die Arme, die hat wahrscheinlich wirklich schon zu viel gesehen. Oder vielleicht auch zu viel rausgefunden. Die Priesterin. Archäologischer Einblick, ein kleines hölzernes Modell einer Arena, möglicherweise die Arena von Verona, die im 1. Jahrhundert fertiggestellt wurde und heute noch in Betrieb ist. Okay.
You, Sisyphus, attack or pursue the stone that always Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold.
Die vielen werden Visionen ein erleiden.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
Welche denn?
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
Der Käufer soll sich vorsehen.
You're in a world of your own, aren't you? Ah, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. I'm Aurelia, and I hope I'm not being too forward, but the moment I laid eyes on you, I was intrigued. There's a light in your eyes I've never seen before, a certain learning and sophistication.
Und ihr seid so charmant. Wie schön.
Coming on a bit strong, don't you think?
Was? Ihr seid auf mich losgegangen.
I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business. So, what brings you to my tavern?
Was? Ich will nicht rejected werden. Warte, ich will jetzt gehen. Warte. I don't get rejected by this beautiful woman. So, ja. Ne?
The newly arrived are ignorant of the road before them.
So, ne? Mit der haben wir doch jetzt geredet, ne? Genau, ich werde jetzt gehen. So, wir hatten das nochmal. Da kommt Wasser raus. Die Priesterin. Welche Priesterin? Ich hätte gern vielleicht auch nochmal wie eine Art Charakterlog.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia.
Eine fermentierte Fischsoße, die als Würzmittel verwendet wird. Wer hier lebt, muss das Zeug lieben.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives.
Ein antiker römischer Kavalierhelm mit geschlossener Gesichtsmaske und Federn aus gefärbtem Pferdehaar.
You're in a world of your own, aren't you?
Diese lila Karotten sind die Vorgänger der modernen orangefarbenen Karotten, okay. So. Ach, hört schon auf. Nein, bitte macht weiter.
What was that? Some kind of joke? If it was, it wasn't funny. I take back what I said. Let's just forget that.
Okay, wahrscheinlich
so
können
we can at least do business. So, what brings you to my tavern?
Was ist eure Geschichte?
Let it go. Nothing's going to happen between us.
Wisst ihr, wie man hier rauskommt?
You know, normally I'd expect you to buy me a drink before asking if I want to get out of here.
Das ist süß, aber im Ernst, kennt ihr den Ausweg?
Straight to business, huh? I can work with that. As a matter of fact, I do know a way out. I'm happy to tell you all about it, but this is valuable information we're talking about, and I don't just give it out like some cheap oracle. So, how badly do you want it? Is it worth, say, 1,000 denarii to you?
Wenn du einen Blick hier rauskennst, warum hast du den noch nicht selbst benutzt?
Simple. It's a one-way trip, and I'm not ready to go just yet. I like my life here. One day, maybe, but not now.
Ist es nicht moralisch fragwürdig, all die Leute hier gefangen zu halten, wenn ihr den Ausweg kennt?
I think of it this way. I have something of value, and I'm willing to share it for a price. That's not unethical. That's just good business. Now, do you want it or not?
Woher weiß ich, dass es sich nicht um einen Betrug handelt?
If I took your money without giving you what I promised, I'd be breaking the golden rule, wouldn't I? And I have no interest in doing that.
Ich habe im Moment nicht so viel Geld. Erzählt mir mehr über das, was ich kaufen würde.
I can't tell you too much, or you'd figure it out for yourself. But I promise you, you'll never have to spend another hour in this city ever again.
Ich habe im Moment nicht so viel Geld.
Well, perhaps you could take out a loan. I understand Malleolus has lent money to others, on occasion.
Was seid ihr von der goldenen Regel?
I just try not to think about it. Drink helps with that. As the saying goes, to drink is human, so we drink.
Ah. Habt ihr interessante Gerichte gehört?
Certainly. For 10 denarii.
Ah, ich habe keine 10 Denare.
How embarrassing for you.
Muss wissen, welche. Ich werde jetzt gehen.
Alright. See ya.
Warte mal.